Last week, I shared our connection to our forefather Jacob. And I argued that it's not for naught that we are descendants of Israel. We are Bnei Israel, as opposed to children of Isaac or children of Abraham, because there are aspects about his story, about his personality that we carry on with us as a people. So I think during a conversation last Shabbat, someone mentioned, but wait a second, what about Judah? And I think my response was, just hold on, that's next week. So now, let's take a little bit of a dive into Judah. After all, we are recognized as being the children of Israel, Bnei Israel, but we are also known as the Jews, descendants of Judah. Our name is ascribed to the geographic location that we lived in at the time of the last diaspora, Judea, which was the land allotted to Judah. And to this day, there are two sets of tribes that have, for the most part, been passed on from generation to generation. Tribe of Judah and the tribe of Levi. But we're not going to talk about Levi, and maybe we'll do that next week. I'm not sure. I won't be here. We'll find out. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Judah. And when we think about being descendants of Judah, being descendants of the prized land of the land of Israel, the central location where Jerusalem stands, it should be that the land of Judah should be given to the firstborn. And the firstborn son of Jacob is whom? Reuven. And what I want to explore a little bit today is, what is it about Reuven that prevents him from being the person that carries on the legacy of the Jewish people? And what is it about Judah that enables him to be the main, the strongest source of our people? So we're going to look at two sections. First is the beginning of this week's parsha, and then we're going to look at the blessing given to both Reuben and Judah in a couple weeks from now, which will be on page 302. But let's look at page 220. Let's actually go to page 228. Okay, just to catch you up, Joseph had a number of dreams. They described him in a leadership position. He was his father's favorite. Things are not going so well in terms of the relationship between Joseph and his brothers. And on verse 12, we read, "One time, when his brothers had gone to pasture their father's flock at Shechem, Israel said to Joseph, 'Your brothers are pasturing at Shechem. Come on, I will send you to them.' He answered to them, 'I am ready, Hineni.' And he said to them, 'Go and see how your brothers are and how the flocks are faring, and bring me back word.' So he sent him from the valley of Hebron. When he reached Shechem, a man came upon wandering the fields. The man asked him, 'What are you looking for?' He answered, 'I'm looking for my brothers. Could you tell me where they are pasturing?' The man said, They have gone from here, for I have heard them say, 'Let us go down to Dothan.' So Joseph followed his brothers and found them at Dothan." Okay, this is all just set up. Joseph is going after his brothers. They saw him from afar, and before he came close to them, they conspired to kill him. They said to one another, "Here comes that dreamer." Remember, he has the dreams describing them as in a lower status, and they're going to worship him. "Come now, let us kill him, throw him into one of the pits, and we can say, 'A savage beast devoured him.' We shall see what comes of his dreams." Okay? And now comes, how are Reuben and how is Judah going to respond? First steps up Reuven, and I'm on verse 21. "But when Reuven heard it, he tried to save him from them. And he said, 'Let us not take his life, And Reuben went on, "Shed no blood. Cast him into that pit out in the wilderness, but do not touch him yourselves," intending to save him from them and restore him to his father. When Joseph came up to his brothers, they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the ornamented tunic that he was wearing, and took him and cast him into the pit. The pit was empty. There was no water in it. Then they sat down to a meal. Looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilad, their camels bearing gum and balm and ladanum to be taken to Egypt. And now Judah's turn. Okay, candidate number 2. Then Judah said to his brothers, "What do we gain by killing our brother and covering up his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. But let us not do away with him ourselves. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh." His brothers agreed. When Midianite traders passed by, they pulled Joseph up out of the pit. They sold Joseph for 20 pieces of silver to the Ishmaelites, who brought Joseph to Egypt. Okay, so you see, there's a story. The brothers want to kill him. Reuben stands up, and then Judah stands up. Just based on the narrative, who do you think is acting more heroically? Who do you think really should carry the mantle, right, of the Jewish people based on their actions so far in this narrative? Anyone? Reuben. Okay, Todd, why Reuben?
Because he stepped away from the crowd, from the mob mentality.
Yeah.
And stood up for the fragility of the human life and tried to find a way to preserve his brother.
So his brothers say, "Kill him." He says, "No, we can't shed blood," right? And even the text says, hey, what he really means by this is he wants to return his brother to his father. Okay, nice. Anyone else? Reuben? I mean, if Don is right, we should all be the Reubenites. I don't know if there's any Reubens here. And what about, do you see another hand up? No, I see waving and people welcoming. Okay. Anyone else? Do I see any hands? Okay. So, our tradition looks at these two characters, and there's tension. One way that we look at Reuben is exactly as Don says. And if you just went by this alone, Reuben would be the winner. But there's a lot more narratives that we're not going to get into. And Judah, this is not his best point. And over the course of his journey, he evolves. And we learn from Judah's evolution, as opposed to the decay, right, of Reuben's character. Let's try to look at this incident through the lens of the blessings that Jacob is going to bestow upon his children. Let's turn now to page 302. Page 302, and I lied. Let's go actually to page 299. Page 299. Okay, the end of the story, and now Jacob is blessing his children. Okay? Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, and first fruit of my vigor, exceeding in rank and exceeding in honor. Just right here at the blessing. I don't want to do too much at once. How does this blessing support what Don shared about Reuben's behavior in the narrative so far? Exceeding in rank, exceeding in honor. Oh, wow. What?
Stepping beyond the norms of the others in the group.
Yeah, one thing it means to have honor is that I don't just do what everyone does, but there's a certain standard that I hold myself accountable to. All right, to quote the famous line, while people go low, I go high, right? Reuben, I got honor. No, that's not how we should treat our brother. Of course not. And then it continues. Unstable as water, you shall excel no longer. For when you mounted your father's bed, you brought disgrace. My couch he mounted. Okay? So he's referencing what happens later in this parasha, that he goes after his father's concubine, another story. I think there's something, though, just about the unstable as water that we can read into this narrative. So at first, Reuben stands up for honor, but in that section that I read, what happens at the end? Does Reuben's plan come to fruition? Okay, so Diana?
No, he goes back, he thinks he's going to find him, take him out, and bring him back home, because meanwhile, like, he put him in there, they go out and they have lunch. It's just like the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And he comes back, and there's this snake that probably, I don't know, Rashi says had snakes and scorpions, which would make sense. I mean, how did he think that was going to work out? But in the meantime, Judah had come up with this plan to sell him. So they had sold him to the Ishmaelites or the Midianites, and off he went. So
Yeah.
he's gone. Like, whoa.
Correct. Reuben's plan was to return his brother to his father. And in the end, that's not how the story, he's not back with Jacob. He leaves. He goes down to Egypt. So the blessing sort of captures that at first Reuben stands up, but he's not stable. Not reliable. And it's one thing to say, hey, this is the right thing at first, but it's another thing to carry that through, to take the arrows for what you believe is right. Now, let's look at the blessing for Judah. Let's go to the next page, page 300. You, O Judah, your brothers shall praise. Your hand shall be on the nape of your foes. Your father's sons shall bow low to you. Anyone picking up anything here? Okay. Let's go to the next verse. Judah is a lion's whelp. On prey, my son, have you grown. He crouches, lies down like a lion, like the king of beasts. Who dare rouse him? What do we get from here in terms of Judah's behavior? What is Judah compared to right now, just in this blessing? A lion. Okay, and what aspect of the lion is highlighted here? Right, so,
His hunting ability, his toughness, being the king of beasts.
yeah, so he's the king of beasts. Right, wonderful, right? You know, there is a sense, there's that Reubenic kavod here. You're the king, right? But there's something, and by the way, all will look up to him, okay? So he's not afraid to stand against those who might disagree, okay? And then you said is hunting, but what is the image of the hunting? What aspect of hunting is really highlighted here?
Crouching down.
The crouching down. The crouching down and wait. Now, anyone, I don't know if there's any zoologists here, right? Or maybe we have some high school biology students, right? But what's going on, right, when a lion, right, crouches down? Like, what's the strategy there?
Ambush.
Okay, patience, 100%, okay? Now, right, you're in the wild, right? You got to conserve your energy like lions, right? So you wait and patience. And during that moment of patience, what's going on with this lion? He's strategizing, okay? And the strategizing is based on his environs, right? He's looking, okay, is it a fast animal? Is the animal sleeping? Okay, how much, right? Applauding, right? And then, of course, the lion acts, right, and pounces. This is Judah in the eyes of Jacob. And this is why Judah should be praised. Now, when we bring it back to the narrative, what's Judah doing here? What could we perceive Judah as doing in the story with him and Joseph? Okay, side of the group, that's fine, okay. Where I was going with, he's patient. He's sensing the environs. He's not in a rush to make a quick choice, but he sees a long game here. This goes against the narrative of Judah as being, this is a low point for him because he doesn't stand up to his brothers, and paints a different aspect of Judah who says, wait a second, at this moment, I'm not going to be successful against my brothers. There's 11 of them and one of me. So what is the best strategy I have to make sure that my brother ultimately returns to his father and is safe? Of course, he must be sold into slavery. Reuben's goal is to save his brother, but the solution is to put him in a pit without water, which does not last for a long period of time until one loses their life. We all need sustenance to survive. Judah's plan places his brother's life in the hands of slave traders, but continues it. And as the story goes, it is because of Judah being placed in slave trader that he actually is allowed, Joseph is allowed to be placed in slave traders, that his life is actually saved, and the rest of the narrative continues. So it's a way of looking at Judah as being the person who is the hero, even at this early station of his story, because of his ability to be patient, understand his environs, and then make the right choice. Judah, in doing so, also displays another related characteristic, which is compromise. If he said, wait, my brother needs to be out right now, I'm taking him with me, his solution, he might not have saved his brother's life. He might not have been able to return his brother to his father, which is what ultimately happens. So Judah teaches to us, the Jewish people, of the importance of compromise for the goal of long-term gain and long-term preservation. Judah encouraged us to see not just the short term, but to think beyond the horizon. Perhaps that's why we are the Jewish people. Because of that patience and long-term vision of our forefather Judah. I want to add one last piece, because the rabbis pick up on this as well. In our polarizing times, it's easy to look at Jewish law and Jewish values as being all or nothing. And there's a classic debate between Maimonides and Radak, which stems from a Talmudic discussion, about what do you do. They don't talk about this item, but I'll just put it out for everyone. It's about a piece of treif, but I'll say a cheeseburger. Let's say you're eating a cheeseburger. Do you say a blessing on a cheeseburger? Okay? Maimonides says, of course not. This is food, right, that is made in a manner not fitting of God. And how could one express gratitude by in the process of scorning their ultimate creator? And Radak says, hold on a second. Actually, there's two types of mitzvot. One is a mitzvah, mitzvat chovah, of obligation. And yes, we are obligated not to eat treif. That is part of keeping kosher. And yeah, you shouldn't thank God for the mitzvah of kashrut if you are dafka going to eat something not kosher. Okay, Maimonides, you're right there. But there's another set of blessings. Blessings of mitzvah and mitzvot of hana'ah, where we express gratitude for the pleasures that are a part of this world, and that they would not be here if it wasn't for the gift of being alive and the gift of what God provides for us. And that is merit. That is worthy of an opportunity to express gratitude and thank you. So Radak says that's a type of blessing you should say, but not the blessing where God commanded us to eat something. Radak comes up with a compromise. He sees a challenge, and perhaps Radak is coming up with a strategy to maintain a long-term value, to maintain a value with the hopes that someone will stay connected to God and the Jewish people in the long term, as opposed to losing it in the short term. And I think that is the ultimate blessing of Judah. He blesses us with the gift of patience and encouraging us to look beyond the moment, beyond our immediate needs, for the long-term future of the Jewish people. Shabbat Shalom.